Welcome to the Introduction to Python Mind Map. In this presentation, we will explore the essential concepts of Python programming, starting from the basics and moving towards more complex topics. This mind map is designed to provide a clear visual guide to help us understand Python and how to get it started. Let's dive into the world of Python, an exciting language that opens up countless possibilities for creating programs and solving problems. This chapter can be classified into the following hierarchical structures. So, first, introduction to Python. This one will be classified in the following categories, that is computer language. Within computer language, we will learn about machine language, assembly language, then high level language. Then we are going to learn about Python and how to install the Python. After installation of Python, we are going to learn how to open the Python. Then comes your how we are going to interact with Python interpreter. In Python, there are two different types of modes that we are going to cover. One is interactive mode, then we have script mode. Also, we will cover about the keywords that we are going to use in the Python. Then we will cover identifiers and then the variables and data types in Python. Now we will learn how to create variables and then what are the different types of data types, that is number and string. Then we are going to learn how to accept input from the user and then display it in the output. Then finally, we are going to cover what is operators and then we will look into some Python programs. Let's talk about computer languages. A computer language is used to give instructions to a computer to perform specific tasks. When you write a sequence of instructions using a computer language, it forms a computer program. Over the time, many computer languages have been developed and they can be categorized into three broad groups. The first is machine language, which is the lowest level language consisting of binary code that the computer directly understands, that is in the form of zeros and ones. The second is assembly language, which uses symbolic instructions and is a bit more readable than the machine language. Here we are going to use the mnemonics. We will discuss about these different type of languages in detail later on. Lastly, we have high level language like Python, which is more user friendly and is easier for humans to understand and write. Machine language. Let's imagine you are talking to a computer. Do you think it will understand English or Hindi or maybe even sign language? Well, the surprising answer is no. A computer is an electronic machine and it can only understand one very special language, the language of zeros and ones. This is called binary language or machine language. In machine language, every instruction is written as a long string of zeros and ones. Long string of zeros means it is a collection of zeros and ones. For example, even a simple task like adding two numbers has to be broken down into tiny steps, each step coded in zeros and ones. Now, you can imagine how difficult it would be for us humans to write entire programs like this. Just think if you had to write a story, but you could only use two symbols, 0 and 1. Isn't it sounds tricky? That's why programmers later developed easier, more human friendly languages like assembly language, and then high level languages such as C, Java, and Python. These make it possible for us to write programs in words and symbols that feel closer to everyday language, while the computer quietly translates them back into the zeros and ones behind the scenes. So, in short, machine language is the computer's mother tongue, but that is not for us. It's like a very tough puzzle. That's why we usually let smarter tools do the translation for us. Assembly language. Assembly language is a low level programming language in which instructions are written using short symbolic words called mnemonics. For example, move, add, LD. These mnemonics are easier for humans to understand and remember compared to the long strings of zeros and ones used in machine language. Since each assembly instruction corresponds directly to a machine instruction, it is easier and faster to write programs in assembly language than in pure machine language. However, it still requires knowledge of the computer's hardware architecture. Today, assembly language is less common for everyday software development because high level languages like Python, Java, and C++ are more user friendly. Still, assembly language remains an important in areas where speed and direct hardware control are critical, such as robotics, embedded systems, and operating system kernels. High level language. Imagine you had to speak to a computer only in zeros and ones. It would be extremely difficult. That's why we use high level languages. These languages allow us to write programs using simple English words and mathematical symbols, making programming much easier to understand. The best part is that programmers don't need to know the tiny details of the computer's hardware. High level languages are machine independent, which means the same program can run on different computers without any changes. That's why we call them portable. But here is the catch: the computer still doesn't understand the high level instructions directly. They must be translated into machine language with the help of special translators called compilers or interpreters. Over time, many high level languages have been developed. Some early ones include BASIC, Fortran, and Pascal, while modern ones include C, C++, Java, Python, Prolog, and Lisp. Today, these languages power everything from mobile apps to artificial intelligence. So, high level languages act like a bridge, making it easier for humans to talk to computers and for computers to follow our instructions. Python. Python is one of the most powerful and popular high level languages in the world today. You will find it everywhere, whether it's creating websites, building video games, running scientific experiments, or crunching huge amount of data. One reason Python is loved so much is because it's easy to learn. It has fewer keywords and a simple structure, so even beginners can start programming without much difficulty. Another big advantage is that Python is free and open source. Anyone can download it, use it, and even contribute to making it better. Python is also portable. Imagine writing a program on a Windows computer and then running it on a Mac or Linux computer without making any changes. That's how flexible Python is. And here is something students really enjoy. Python has extensive library support. These libraries are like ready made toolkits that save us time. Just as we use design templates in Word or PowerPoint to save effort, Python libraries give us ready made code for tasks like mathematics, graphics, or even artificial intelligence. That's why Python has become a favorite for students, teachers, scientists, and even big companies. It's simple, powerful, and everywhere. Installing Python. To run Python programs, we need something called an interpreter. Think of the interpreter as a translator. It takes the instructions we write in Python and convert them into a form that the computer can understand and execute. The good news is that Python is free to use and very easy to install. All we have to do is to visit the official Python website, that is www.python.org. Click on the download section and choose the version that works for our computer. For Windows users, the link is www.python.org/downloads/windows. We can download any version from 3.5 onwards, though newer versions are usually recommended. Once installed, the Python interpreter allows us to write programs, test them, and see the results instantly. With just a few clicks, you will be ready to begin your Python journey. Opening Python. Once Python is installed on our computer, opening it is very simple. Just follow these steps. Step 1. Go to the search box next to the start button and type the word Python. Step 2. From the list of options, click on Python IDLE. IDLE stands for Integrated Development and Learning Environment. It is the standard and most popular environment for Python. Why is IDLE so useful? Because it allows us to do everything in one place. create Python programs, run them, and even debug them if something goes wrong. Debugging means fixing the issue. Like if you have done anything wrong in your program, you can just check the problem where it is going wrong and then fixing the problem. As soon as you open it, you will see the Python shell window. For example, Python 3.8.1 shell. So as shown in the figure. So this is where you can start typing your first Python commands and see the results instantly. So with just two simple steps, you are ready to begin with programming in Python. Interacting with Python interpreter. Once Python is installed, we can interact with it in two main ways: interactive mode and script mode. In interactive mode, we type our Python commands directly into the Python shell window. As soon as we press enter, the computer executes the command and shows the result immediately. This mode is perfect for quick calculations, testing small programs, or experimenting with new ideas. In script mode, we write a complete program inside a file and save it with the extension .py. Then we run the whole profile and Python executes all the instructions step by step. Script mode is very useful when we want to create longer programs that we can save, edit, and run again later. So remember, interactive mode is like having a quick chat with Python, while script mode is like writing a full story that you can keep and share. Interactive mode. When we click on the Python idle option, the Python shell window opens. At the very top, you can see the Python version information. Just below that, you will notice something special: the Python prompt, written as three arrows like there you can see in the picture. There are three arrows given, that is the Python prompt. This prompt is Python's way of telling us, I am ready, give me a command. Any instructions we type at this prompt is called a statement. Once we press the enter key, Python immediately responds with the result. For example, if you type 3 plus 7 at the prompt and press enter, Python will instantly display the answer 10 on the next line. This is why interactive mode is so exciting. It lets us test commands one by one and see the output right away, just like having a live conversation with Python. You can also try this in your laptop. Just you can give any algebraic expression, like any mathematical expression like 3 plus 7, 3 into 7. So you can explore all this. Script mode. Unlike interactive mode, where we type one command at a time, script mode allows us to write and save a whole program. This way, we can run it again and again whenever we need. Here is how we do it. Step 1. In the Python shell window, click on the File menu and choose New File. A blank editor window opens. Please do with me as I explains in your computer as well. Now that we have opened a new file in script mode, it's time to write our first Python program. In the editor window, type this line of code. Print within the bracket, then give double quotes. Welcome to Python programming. Just like a text editor, you can type, edit, or even correct mistakes easily in this window. The print command tells Python to display the message written inside the quotation marks. So when we run this program, the words "Welcome to Python programming" will appear as the output. This simple step shows us how easy it is to create a program in script mode. Just type the code and Python will handle the rest. Once we have written our code in the editor window, the next step is to save the file. To do this, click on the File menu in the editor window and choose the Save option. Immediately, the Save as dialog box will appear. In the Save as dialog box, type the name of your file. For example, welcome. When you click on the Save button, Python automatically saves the file with the extension .py. This .py extension is very important because it tells the computer that the file is a Python program. Now, whenever you want, you can open this file, make changes, or run it again without having to retype the entire code. Now that our file is saved, so it's time to execute the program. To run it, we have two simple options. Either press the F5 key on your keyboard or click on Run module under the Run menu in the editor window. The Python interpreter will then execute the program and the output will appear in the Python shell window. For our example, you will see the message "Welcome to Python programming." This is how script mode works. We write the code once, save it, and then run it whenever we need. Simple, neat, and powerful. Words in Python. In Python, we often use words to give instructions, but some words are very special. They are called keywords. Keywords are reserved words, which means they are already defined in Python for a specific purpose. Each keyword carries a special meaning, and the Python interpreter understands them in a unique way. For example, words like if, else, while, and for are keywords. We cannot use them as names for our variables or functions because Python has already reserved them for its own use. Think of keywords as the grammar rules of the Python language. They help the interpreter to understand exactly what we want the program to do. Identifiers in Python. In Python, apart from using keywords, we also create our own names. These names are called identifiers. Identifiers are labels we give to variables, functions, or any other objects in a program. But there are some rules we must follow while naming identifiers. First, we cannot use keywords as identifiers. For example, we cannot name a variable if or while because those words already have special meanings in Python. Second, identifiers can be made up of letters, digits, or underscores. For example, names like score, student1, or total underscore marks are valid identifiers. Third, an identifier cannot begin with a digit. This means one variable is invalid, but variable 1 works perfectly fine. Fourth, Python does not allow punctuation marks such as at the rate, dollar, or percentage in identifiers. And finally, remember that Python is a case sensitive language. This means small marks and capital marks are treated as two completely different identifiers. So, identifiers are like the personal names we give inside a program, but we must follow Python's rules so that the computer understands them correctly. Let's look at some examples of valid and invalid identifiers in Python. This will help us clearly understand the rules we just learned. Valid identifiers include name, student1, total underscore marks, underscore value, age, English underscore marks, percentage, bus underscore fare, where1, etc. All of these follow the rules. They don't start with a digit, don't use special symbols, and are not keywords. Invalid identifiers include one name because it contains with a digit. Similarly, like two number, and this starts with a digit, so that is invalid identifier. Total percentage marks because percentage is not allowed, so this is invalid identifiers. Marks dash or hyphen evs, that is also not accepted because Python doesn't accept any special character except underscore. For, this is not accepted because it is a reserved keyword. Similarly, while is also not accepted since it is a reserved keyword. Student hash student dash name or hyphen student hyphen name. This is also not accepted because hyphen is not allowed. Num space toys. This is also not accepted because spaces are not allowed over here. So whenever we create names in Python, we should make sure they are valid identifiers, otherwise the interpreter will give us an error. Variables and data types in Python. In Python, we often need a place to store information so that we can use it later in our program. This is where variables comes in. A variable is like a box in the computer's memory that holds a value. We can store numbers, text, or other kinds of data inside these boxes and then use them whenever we need it. Variables are actually a type of identifier, which means the same naming rule apply over here. For example, we cannot start a variable name with a digit or use a keyword as a variable name. But what about the kind of information we store in the variable? There are where data types comes into play. Data types tells Python what kind of value is inside a variable. For example, if we store a number like 10, the variable is of type integer. If we store a number with a decimal like 3.5, then it will be a float. If we store text like hello within double quotes, then we can say it as a string. If we store true or false, then that will be treated as a boolean value. So, variables let us store information and data type describe what kind of information it is. Together, they form the building blocks of any Python program. Creating variables. In Python, creating a variable is very simple. In fact, a variable is created the moment we assign a value to it. To do this, we use the assignment operator, which is the equal sign. For example, if we write age equal to 56, marks equal to 76.5, place equal to within quotes India, here age is a variable that stores an integer value, mark stores a float value, and the place stores a string value. We didn't have to declare the type in Python. Python automatically understands it from the value we assign. To see what's inside this variable, we can use the print statement. For example, print within bracket age, print within bracket marks, print then within bracket place. This will display 56, 76.5 and India in the console. So in Python, creating and using variables is as easy as giving them a value and then printing them whenever we need it. No extra steps are required. Data types. In Python, variables can hold different kinds of values, and these are known as data types. Python supports many data types such as numbers, strings, lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. But let's begin with the two most basic and important ones, that is numbers and strings. Number. Let's start with one of the most common number data types in Python, the integer or int for short. An integer is a number without a decimal point. It can be positive or negative, but it can never have fractions or decimals. For example, if we write a equal to 7, b equal to minus 90. So here a stores the positive integer 7 and b stores the negative integer minus 90. Both of these are of the int data type. Integers are used whenever we need whole numbers for counting, indexing, or any calculations where fractions are not needed. They form the simplest and most commonly used number type in Python. Float in Python. A float, short for floating point number, is a data type used to represent real numbers, that is, numbers have a decimal point or a fractional part. These numbers can be positive or negative. Now, coming to the characteristics of floats. A float represents a number with a decimal point or a fraction. Floats can also be written in scientific notation, that is 1.5 E2, which normally represents 1.5 into 10 to the power 2, that is actually 150.0. Floats are used when precision is needed, such as when dealing with measurements, prices, or scientific calculations. Examples of floats: C equal to 9.7. This is a positive float. D equal to minus 88.9. So this is a negative float. In these examples, C equal to 9.7. This is positive float with a 1 decimal place. D equal to minus 88.9. This is negative float with 1 decimal place. Now coming to the key points of the floating point number. Floats are defined using a decimal point, that is 9.7 or minus 88.9. Floats can represent both large and small numbers as well as fractions of or whole numbers. You can perform mathematical operations with floats, and Python will automatically handle the decimal values. For example, result equal to C plus D. So here we all know the value of C and D. So this will just add 9.7 and 88.9 that are stored in the variable C and D. So the result will print, if you add up 9.7 and minus 88.9, you will get minus 79.2. So we will get the same result when you do the print within bracket result. If you write the print result, it will give you the output same as the normal integer addition or floating point addition. This makes floats essential when dealing with real world values like measurements, money, and scientific data. String. In Python, strings are sequence of characters and they can be enclosed in either single quotes or double quotes or triple quotes. Let's break down these different types and how they work. Types of string delimiters, that is a single quotes. Now you can define a string by enclosing it in single quotes, like name equal to within single quotes Myra, section equal to within single quotes capital A. Double quotes. Double quotes are usually valid for defining strings, like message equal to within double quotes. A dream does not become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. So this is a quote from Colin Powell. So that should be a full sentence or full word. So that should be represented within double quotes. Now coming to the triple quotes. So triple quotes are used for multi-line strings or strings that include both single and double quotes. They are also useful when the string is long and spans multiple lines. You can use either triple quotes or you can use either triple single quotes or triple double quotes. Like address equal to, then start with triple quotes, house number 230, new colony, Delhi 53. Also, you can use triple quotes in the address where it spreads on the in a particular variable where it spreads the message in multiple lines, like long message. Then you have to start with triple quotes. This is a long message that spans over multiple lines. So whenever we are creating a long message, then we can split those message in multiple lines. Then we have to use the triple quote. Now let us take one example. Here is how you can define string variables with different type of quotes. Name equal to double quotes Myra. Section equal to single quote A. Address equal to, then we can start with the single quotes with double quotes inside. So it will treat as a triple quote. So house number 230, New Colony, Delhi. Like another one is message equal to, within double quotes, a dream does not become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination and hard work. Colin Powell. So that can also be declared within double quotes. Now important points. Single and double quotes can be used interchangeably. Triple quotes are ideal for strings that span multiple lines or when the string contains both single and double quotes. This flexibility allows you to choose the most appropriate method depending on the content of your string and how you want to format it. Accepting input and displaying output. In programming, accepting input from the user and displaying output are fundamental operations. Every programming language provides specific functions or statements to handle these tasks. Here is how they work. Now coming to accepting input. To accept input, we typically use a function that prompts the user to provide data. The input can vary based on the data type, like strings, integers, or floats, and the function returns the entered value. The value is then stored in a variable for later use in the program. In Python, we use the input function to accept text input from the user. If you need to accept numeric values, you can convert the input using functions like int for integers and float for floating point numbers. Now coming to displaying the output. To display output, most programming languages provide a function to print or display the data. In Python, we use the print function. Accepting input. In this example, we will see the use of input function in Python. X equal to input within brackets. Now put double quotes. Within double quotes, we are going to write enter your name. So the input function is used to take input from the user. The text inside the parenthesis, enter your name, is a prompt that is displayed to the user, guiding them on what value to enter. Whatever value the user types in response to the prompt is stored as a string in the variable x. The key points to note: prompt shown to the user. The prompt like enter your name appears on the screen to guide the user to enter their name. Value entered by the user. The value that the user enters is of the data type string, which is then stored in the variable x. In summary, the input function is used for accepting test input from the user. The value entered is always stored as a string, which can then be processed further. So that's why whenever you want to store something, you want to store from the user some integer or float value, you have to convert it to either int or float. In the first example, the code accepts an integer value from the user. So age equal to int, then input, enter age. The input function prompts the user to enter a value. The int function is used to convert the user input into an integer. This is helpful when you need to work with whole numbers like age and want to ensure that the value is treated as an integer. The second example accepts a floating point value. Marks equal to float, input, enter marks. Similar to the first example, the input function is used to get input from the user, but the float function converts the input into a float. This is useful for handling numbers that may have decimals, such as marks in exams. In summary, to accept numeric values in Python, use int with input to accept integer values. Use float with input to accept float or decimal values. This approach ensures the input is stored as the appropriate data type for further use in calculations or operations. Now displaying output. The print function can be used to display numbers, messages, or values of variables on the output screen. In the first block of code, we have a simple print statement. Print within bracket double quotes welcome. This will display the message welcome. The next block involves a variable assignment a equal to 10. Then it uses the print function to display the value of the variable a. Print a. So this is the way we are going to write. So what will be the output in this case? This will output 10 over here. In the final example, we are first assigning a value to a variable a, that is a equal to 5. Then we use a print function with a comma to combine the string a equal to and the value of a. Just remember one thing, whenever we are writing any string, that should be within double quotes we have to mention. So print within double quotes a equal to, then comma a. So in this case, the next a here is the variable part. So this will display as a equal to 5. The explanation notes that the comma in the print statement is used to combine strings, variables, or values. When different values are displayed in the same print statement, they are separated by a space. Now, in this case, the first block of code, we have two variables, a equal to 5, b equal to 7. The code uses the print function to display the value of these variables on separate lines. The first print statement is print within double quotes a equal to, then a. So this will display a equal to 5. In the second print statement, print within double quotes b equal to, then comma b. This will display b equal to 7. The final print statement is print within double quotes sum equal to, comma a plus b. This will calculate the sum of a and b, which equals 12, and display sum equal to 12. In the second block, we are defining three variables, a equal to 1, b equal to 2, c equal to 3. The print function displays the values of these three variables separated by commas on the same line. Print within bracket a, comma b, comma c. This will display as 1, then space 2, then space 3. In the final part of the image, we can see a variable j being defined with the value 9. So j equal to 9. To display the value of j, the code uses the print function print within double quotes j. However, this will display the string j, not the value stored in the variable j. If you want to display the value of j, you should not put it in quotes. The correct quote should be print j. So, whenever we were putting something inside double quotes, so whatever is there, it will just display as it is. So, if you want to print some variable, so never put it inside double quotes. You have to print without double quotes for the variable display part. So in now it will display the value as 9. Now we will be describing about operators. So operators are the special symbols that are used to perform operations on variables and values. We actually use operators all the time in our daily mathematics. For example, the plus sign is used for addition, the minus sign is used for subtraction, the multiplication sign for multiplication, and the division sign for division. Python also has these operators, but not only these. It comes with a wide range of operators that help us perform different type of operation, not just arithmetic, but also comparison, logical operations, assignment, and many more. For instance, in Python, plus is used to add numbers or even join the strings. So if you want to combine two strings together, you can also use plus operator. So plus operator is not only used for adding numbers, it can also used for joining different type of strings. Minus is used for subtraction. Multiplication, here we normally use the star symbol. So star is used for multiplication and slash is used for division. Also, we have other type of operators such as percentage. So here percentage doesn't mean that will be the mathematics percentage. Here percentage means remainder. So whenever we are dividing any number, whatever will be the remainder, that will be calculated by using percentage symbol. If you want to get the power value like 2 to the power 3, 3 to the power 4, then we have to use double star symbol. So that will be used as the exponent. So like if you want to write 3 to the power 4, then you should write 3 star star 4. This will give the value as 81. So operators act like tools that help us carry out different tasks in programming. As we move ahead, we will explore the various categories of operators in detail. Now, let's take a look at a Python program. So, in this program, it displays a welcome message to the user. The task here is to take the name of the user as input and then show a greeting message. Here is the code, that name equal to input, enter your name, then message equal to name plus welcome to the world of Python programming, then print message. Now let's understand it step by step. First we use the input function with the message enter your name. This allows the user to type their name and that name gets stored inside the variable name. Next we create another variable called message. Here we join the username with the string welcome to the world of Python programming. This is done using the plus operator which joins string together. Finally, we use the print function to display the message on the screen. So, if the user types Samia, the output will be Samia, welcome to the world of Python programming. This way, the program greets every user personally and makes them feel special while learning the Python. So, this is the end of our slide. So, I hope you have understood something about the Python, how it works, how to print something, or how to take input from the user. Later on, we will discuss more about how a Python works, what are the different statements, conditional statements. Then we will cover loops and other parts of the Python. Okay, hope you like this video. So, and you can also get the PDF version of it in the description box. Okay, so if you like the video, if you understood it, please hit the like button and please do share this video and subscribe to my channel to get latest update. Thank you.